All right, joined now by the head coach of the Minnesota State Mavericks, Mike Hastings. Mike, congratulations on your squad capturing that regional championship in Albany. Talk a little bit about the how those two games went for the Mavericks, and then we'll take questions from some of the media online with the Zoom call here.
Thanks, Paul. You know what? First of all, as it usually is at this time of the year, it's difficult to move on, and you look at the regional and the journey that we were on. Got off to a good start. I thought we had a really good start against a talented Harvard team, and we're able to get out on a lead and actually extend the lead. And then you knew Harvard was going to make a push. They did. Came back and stressed us out a little bit as far as the score at 3-2. We're able to then score a goal on a guy that I think is playing his best hockey for us in his time here with Andrzej Pavel to give us a 4-2 lead. And, then we took a penalty and Harvard being Harvard, score a goal and it ends up being a 1 goal game. And then no different the next night as far as how tight it is at this time of the year. You play a lot of 1 goal games, and we were fortunate to get the first goal against Notre Dame and be able to ride Dryden McKay's play as well as some of our defenders and being able to make that 1 goal hold up and move on now to the Frozen Four. So we're excited about where we're going. We've just got to manage our time and what we're doing between now and then, and we look forward to the opportunity once we get to Boston.
Thanks for that. Kevin Dudley of the Mankato Free Press is here with us. Kevin, would you like to ask a question?
Just getting to do this again, going to the Frozen Four, but not having all the pandemic restrictions, being able to enjoy it more. Maybe talk about how that's been since you've gotten back from Albany.
Well, one thing that's been good about it is, walking out of the regional a year ago, you were waving to people. You weren't able to step up and let the young men see their families. And, my family, they weren't out there. It was something that it just wasn't an option. And so for our athletes and our fans to be able to be a part of it and still be able to see the guys walking out to the bus or coming out after the game and them to be able to spend times with friends and family and the amount of people that were kind enough from our contingent of fans to come all the way out to Albany and support us. It was special. And like you said, this is something that it's hard to do. You want to make sure you enjoy it while you're continuing to keep your eye on the prize. And it was unique in the idea that we're getting back to some normalcy. And you look at a year ago out in Colorado wasn't what a year ago this year was. You look at that place being full and the environment that was there. And I'm hoping that is going to follow us all the way to Boston so we can enjoy the environment there. But again, understanding what we're going there for, and that's to try and find a way to get to Saturday and win a national championship.
Cole Bulow, you have your hand up there.
Yeah, hi, Coach. Congratulations on making the Frozen Four for the second straight year. Have you had time to look at Minnesota's roster on paper at all yet, and what you see out of that team and what they do well?
Yeah, I know the roster pretty well just because, you know what, they're neighbors, right? They're 70 some miles away from us. They've got players that, this last year at the Olympics, I was fortunate enough to be able to be around Nyes and to be around Faber and to be around Myers as well as Nathan Smith from our team. Quality hockey players, but just as impressive young men. And I know they're excited about playing us. And so for us, I mean, there's 14 NHL draft picks. They've had success throughout this season. They had a bump in the road against Michigan in the championship game. Otherwise, they're a number 1 seed. They're everything that everybody talks about. They've got guys that once the season's done are going to step in and probably play in the NHL. They're well coached. I've got a ton of respect for Bobby and his staff and what they do. I think they're playing as well as anybody. I think the Frozen Four teams that are there are all good. And so anything you're going to get, you're going to have to earn. It's going to be no different with us.
Joining us today for the first time, Twin Cities sports icon Jim Rich. How you doing, Jim? You want to ask a question of Minnesota State coach Mike Hastings?
Absolutely. It'd be a great honor to. it's been a step. It's been a step. The recruiting, the getting the players to understand what it takes to be successful. You know, you've done well in your own league. Now you're getting over the hump of winning games in the national tournament. Now you're back to the Final Four. Can you explain your thought process to lift this program to that point?
Yeah, actually, Jim, and you're very successful at what you do, and a lot of the success that we're enjoying right now as a program is because there's an awful lot of uh, help going along the way. There's different people doing their jobs at a very high end level, and I can talk about Todd Connaught, our associate head coach, and the recruiting process, and him being our recruiting coordinator, and never being satisfied. That if we have a good class, we've got to have a better class the next year, and then Paul Kirtland, who's new with our staff. I can go all the way with Matt Schmidt, our trainer, or Tommy Inkrat, our strength coach. But I'm surrounded by a lot of people that understand the athletes are the most important piece of our program. And so they're all okay investing in those young men, and that means investing in them as hockey players and as people, whether it's in the classroom, on the rink, off the rink, or anywhere in between. And so the amount of support that I've had from the university to allow us to surround these young men with people that are like-minded in the idea that we're here to help. And we learned a long time ago, coaches go nowhere without their players. And so we've been fortunate. They've taken away all the excuses that I think are out there, whether it's support facilities wise or staffing. And when you do that and you surround yourself with really good people, good things can happen. And those are the things that are happening here. And I believe those are the reasons that we've gotten to the point that where we're at and trying to move forward.
Jim, follow up if you want to take one.
How about the getting the players to believe? Coaches have always told me that you have to get a team that learns how to win, right? That just doesn't go out and plays, but understand what it takes to win and to get a team to have confidence in themselves. How are you able to do that with this group and, of course, last year's as well that made it to the Frozen Four?
Well, I really believe you have to rely upon what's inside that locker room a little bit. I haven't shot a puck, blocked a shot, done anything that way. That group has really done a lot of the heavy lifting, and to peel back the layer of that onion is they've gone through some hard times. We've got some guys in that locker room that kept hearing as early as 2 years ago, you guys can't win at the NCAA tournament. And those harsh realities, those experiences toughen you up a little bit. And so these guys have gone through some peaks and valleys, and definitely the valleys have been the ones that I think they talk about most. Hopefully at the end of this, they'll be talking about the peaks that they get to. But they've relied upon each other. They've done the work. They're okay looking in a mirror and being held accountable and holding themselves accountable. And I think, that we're going to continue to rely upon those groups. So it's one where, you have to go through it. I will say this, our guys, there's a different look to them. Now, will it be a different result? I don't know. But being through what we were through last year at the Frozen Four and having our heart torn out a little bit in that game against St. Cloud and having a big-time goal be scored with 50-some seconds left to end your season, that toughens you up a little bit. So our guys are excited about what's in front of them.
Kevin Dudley, back to you.
Returning to the Frozen Four now this year, I know it's kind of an odd window here with a Saturday to Thursday break. Maybe talk about managing that, any differences from how you plan to manage it this year as opposed to last year, and kind of where you feel like the team is at just in terms of, pushing the right buttons health-wise and getting that balance of rest and, but still going hard.
Well, I'm hoping some of those experiences that we've had this year, not only just in the regional, but we had some quirks to our schedule this season where we played on a Thursday and a Saturday a couple of different times. And I'm going to tell you, we learned a little bit from that on things that we would do and what we wouldn't do moving forward. And, this last time we went through it out in the regional, I thought Albany did an unbelievable job, and Union College did a great job at hosting us and making sure that day in between wasn't a stressful day. We were able to get out and have a good skate. The travel from the hotel to the rink was just across the street. And because we've been through it a couple of different times, I thought the guys did a great job of managing it. And again, we relied upon some feedback from those young men on what they like or what they don't like when we have a day off in between. And so we feel comfortable with that, and hopefully this is something that we'll be able to experience, and we're going through worrying about a day off in between, because that means we've moved on. And the only way that happens is if we go and do the job that we need to do to get there.
Cole, do you have another question?
Yeah, I wanted to get your thoughts on the Gophers captain, Ben Myers. I know you touched on that a little bit before, because he was one of the players you coached in Beijing with Team USA. He netted the game winner in Minnesota's overtime the first round against UMass, and he was a great player for Team USA. What are your thoughts on him and the dynamic he brings to the Minnesota team?
Really good hockey player. Really good. He can be a lot of different ways. He plays with pace. He's strong. No fear at playing inside the dots or getting to the paint. I think he's a tremendous character as far as what he does and bringing. He walks through the door, he's got a smile on his face. He's energy driven, self motivator. I think he's a heck of a hockey player and a really good guy you want to be around. So I'm sure they're going to rely upon him as they have this entire season. I've got a lot of respect for him as a player and as a person. And, we're going to have to manage him being on the rink, because I guarantee he's going to get minutes. He's going to be playing in any role that you'll see rolled out in front of him. I think he's going to be, he'll be front and center. And so we're going to have to understand when he's on the rink what we have to do.
Jim, another question from you if you have one.
Just about playing a team that you're so familiar with, does it make it easier when you get to this point of the season with so much at stake that familiarity is kind of one less thing you have to worry about, or does it make it more difficult that they know you and you know them?
I think it's a good question. You know what, Jim, we went into this last regional where we haven't seen Notre Dame for, I think, almost a decade. In the time that I've been here, we've never played Harvard. That was a different challenge. It was fresh. It was something that we knew we had to do some homework on, because we didn't have a big book on either one of those programs recently from experience-wise. Now, I've known Bob for longer than both of us would rather talk about. And you know what? When they're playing, I'm watching, and I don't know if he's doing the same thing, but we're hockey junkies. So, we do know a lot about each other's programs and how they play. And I don't know if that's an advantage. It's a comfort in knowing that, they're at this time, you have to go out and earn it. You're going to have to be good in all areas. Your goaltender's going to have to be good. Your special teams, really your discipline, everything that we get to control, we're focusing on right now. We know that they're quality. And like I said, when you can, 14 NHL draft picks, guys that have had the seasons that they've had, they're going to be very difficult out.
Cole, last question is yours if you have one.
I guess I kind of wanted to know a little bit about what practices kind of look at this point of the year. I can't expect, the team is getting pushed to their absolute breaking point, but you always want to stay ready and be sharpening the sword, as some may say. What does that look for you guys and the rest of the week?
Try and manage the week, and what I mean by that is not can't have guys, they don't want to be practicing as much as we're practicing. They just don't. So, it's going to that leadership group and making sure that our practices are upbeat, our practices are short and crisp and hard, and that there's purpose to them, and that we've got, there's a reason we're going out and going over A, B, or C. And then also getting out and just enjoying this time. For us to be playing at this time of the season, it's special. I know there's people that love to be in this spot, so we're going to try and enjoy it. And so, it's a long ways away. Thursday's a long ways away from today. And we don't have to be perfect today. You know, we've got to be prepared when that puck drops a week from this Thursday. And so it's listening to those guys, communicating with our leadership group, seeing what our eyes show us and trusting that. And when we have an opportunity to take some time and get some rest over a long season, we've tried to do that here early in our week. And so we'll just continue to manage every day and go from there.